Welcome. I am Jennifer Bellamy, an anchor and reporter with 11 Alive News, and you are watching the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young debate series. This is the general election debate for the 5th Congressional District. In order to ensure everyone's safety, our candidate and panelists are participating from their homes. The Atlanta Press Club gives a special thank you to Georgia Public Broadcasting for helping to organize today's online debate. Let's meet the candidates. They are in alphabetical order. Angela Stanton-King, a Republican, is the founder of American King Foundation, whose mission is to reunite American families separated by mass incarceration. She is also the Georgia Regional State Coordinator for the Coalition of Leaders United. Nikema Williams, a Democrat, is a state senator in Georgia's 39th district, and she is the chair of the Democratic Party. Ms. Williams has declined to participate in today's debate. I am joined by Maya Prabhu, who covers government and politics for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. She will help me question Miss Angela Stanton-King. Now let's get started. Angela Stanton-King will have 60 seconds to answer each question. I will hold up a piece of paper to let her know when she has 10 seconds remaining. For the full set of rules, you can visit the Atlanta Press Club website. That's atlantapressclub.org. To start the debate, Maya and I will each ask a question of our candidate. Maya, the first question from you.
You qualified to run for office in March with plans to challenge Congressman John Lewis before his death in July. When Congressman Lewis was on the ballot, he defeated Republicans who've challenged him over the past 20 years with 74% of the vote or better. Obviously, now you're facing Democratic State Senator Nikema Williams in the general election. But with a district that's overwhelmingly supported Democrats in the past, why do you believe that you're the Republican that can win in this district?
You know, I honestly believe that with the passing of the Honorable John Lewis, that gives the constituents of the 5th District of Atlanta, of Georgia, a chance to reassess their votes. I think that if we want to really make a difference, then we have to do something different. Politics is supposed to be bipartisan, and I'm running as a congresswoman to represent the entire 5th District of Atlanta, not just one particular side. So I think that if we want to do something different, we want to see something different, then we have to begin by making different choices. And I'm here and I'm ready to fight for you.
Ms. Stanton-King, we are living in unprecedented times, many of us, and health experts have predicted that the COVID-19 pandemic will last for many months. It's evident here with this online debate today. If elected, what would you do to address the pandemic and to address the needs that have arisen with Georgia families as a result?
When it comes to coronavirus, I want to first say that I'm a mother. I'm also a business owner. So I think that it's very important for us to get people back to work and to get our children back to school. But we have to figure out the safest way to do that. And I think that the safest way to do that is by listening to the experts, making sure that we are protecting the most vulnerable and that we're making data-driven decisions when we're considering our responses. But I do believe that it will be in the best interest of our community to get our children safely back in school and to safely open up our businesses.
All right, thank you. That concludes our first portion of this debate. Traditionally, candidates would question each other during the second round. Since Nikema Williams declined to participate, Angela Stanton-King will have an opportunity to share the question that she would have asked her opponent, as well as how she would have responded to the question. So, Ms. Stanton-King, please share the question that you would have liked to ask of your opponent.
Recently, we see reports where just about every Democrat in Congress voted against the Born Alive Act. The Born Alive Act is, of course, when a baby is born and there has been an abortion attempt made, but the baby survived, whether or not the medical doctors would render care to this viable child. I would like to ask Nikema Williams, with her 17-year tenure with Planned Parenthood, how does she feel about that being a mother? I know one of the reasons she turned down this debate is because she stated that she had to make sure that her son was in virtual kindergarten. So with her position of her child being so important, where does she stand? Why does she support Planned Parenthood? And is she really ready to push forward to vote against life when we know that they have legalized late-term abortion?
All right, Ms. Stanton-King, now how would you have responded to what you anticipate your opponent would have said?
I would say that every life is a gift from God. And I would want to say, with everything that we're seeing with Black Lives Matter, we know that Black life begins in the womb. So if Black lives truly do matter, then I think that we need to focus on some of these radical left policies that are exterminating Black life in the womb.
All right, thank you. That concludes our second round of the debate. For those of you just joining us, this is the debate between candidates for the 5th Congressional District. Democratic candidate Nikema Williams declined to participate in the debate. The panel will now ask questions to Angela Stanton-King until we run out of time. Maya, you will have the first question here as well.
Today is the first day of early voting. As you know, election integrity and election security have been a major point of discussion throughout the election season. What is your biggest concern when it comes to ensuring elections are fair, secure, and accurate? And what do you believe needs to be done to address those concerns?
Well, I've been paying close attention to the news, and I see a big, huge push for mail-in ballots. And I don't think that that's the safest way for us to have our votes counted. I think that any time that you are trying to prove the identity of someone, that you ask them to show their ID. So I think that we need to get out and vote, and we need to show up to the polls, and we need to show our IDs to make sure that our votes are properly counted. One of the things that I would like to see done in Georgia, why is it a 3 or 4 hour waiting process, long lines in order to get your vote in? How come we can't restructure some of our voting polls, make the voting process easier, but make sure that it's safe and make sure that we are doing the right thing by checking IDs to make sure that everyone's vote counts?
Following the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, and so many others, we have seen an increased focus on social issues, racial justice issues, as well as movement with the Black Lives Matter movement. Where do you stand on these groups and these issues, and what would you do to address them as Congresswoman?
Well, first, I want to say that I was on the ground in Minneapolis during the George Floyd protest, and I was also on the ground here with Rayshard Brooks and even the loss of Sequoia Turner. While on the ground in Minneapolis, there was an FBI press conference, and I was one of the only voices of color that demanded the arrest of those officers. I don't believe that defunding the police is the answer. I think that we need to bring in community policing, and we also need to remember that criminal justice reform begins with the police. Before you ever have a court case or before you ever have a sentence, your first interaction is with that police officer. So police reform is a part of criminal justice reform, and we need to bring our community and the police together so we can move forward to make sure that we are living in safe environments and we are not creating a hostile atmosphere for the police or ourselves.
Maya, next question from you.
Georgia and Atlanta specifically are known for the prominent activists it produced during the civil rights movement, probably most notably Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As you've said that his niece, Alveda King, is a mentor and godmother to you. Can you share with voters more about your connection to the King family and name?
Yes. So actually, when I was released from prison from a nonviolent crime back in 2005, after giving birth to my daughter chained to a bed, I actually had nowhere to go. I had no family. I had no support at all. And I had maxed out at the Atlanta homeless shelter. And so someone told me about a crisis center I could go to for help. I walked in the door, cried my heart out. It just so happened that the woman sitting behind the desk that day was Alveda King. She gave me a job working in public service, the nonprofit sector, and I've been working with her ever since. I'm very appreciative for the King family, for their acceptance of me and my children, and I'm glad to join them on this fight. Regardless of where we stand at politically, we all want what's best for the 5th District of Georgia.
And so your name was changed legally?
I'm married. My husband's name is Aaron King. I've been married for 4 years. So not only did God bless me with the family, but he also blessed me with the name.
Okay.
You kind of just spoke to this a little bit, but a big part of your story is the pardon that you received from President Trump earlier this year for federal conspiracy charges. Given that experience, and you were just talking about this not too long ago, what criminal justice changes do you support and do you think we should be looking for and seeing here?
Well, criminal justice reform is one of the things that's at the top of my list, unlike my opponent. I know that if we want to reduce crime, then we definitely have to reduce poverty in order to reduce crime. I think that we need to foster entrepreneurship. I don't believe that the people in the community of the 5th district that have been charged with crimes, that the majority of them just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a criminal. I think that there are many people that are committing crime trying to have a better life, kind of like what's going on at the border. People are willing to take a chance to make things better for themselves. So we need to make sure that we are educating. We need to make sure that we are fostering entrepreneurship, and we need to make sure that we're not just focused on reuniting families at the border, but that we focus on reuniting some of our families in the border and focus on some of our children in cages in juvenile detention centers across this nation.
All right, Maya.
With regards to climate change, you've said you believe that the country can be environmentally responsible while not hampering economic growth. What specific policies do you think need to be put in place to reverse the impact of human activity on the climate?
Well, I think that we've been doing a really good job. I think that after 40 years of depending on others, we finally have our own energy dependence up under this current president and his administration. And I like to focus on the things that he's already initiated and continue to push them forward. I think that will be what's best for the 5th District of Georgia.
Ms. Stanton-King, abortion has been a big issue within our state with the heartbeat legislation and similar bills that we have seen across the country as well. It has also been a topic that you have spoken about frequently. You've already mentioned it today. If elected, how would you address this issue and bring that forward in the 5th Congressional District?
Well, the biggest issue for me with the Democratic Party is them funding abortion. I would like to fund adoption versus funding abortion. Another thing that I would like to do is also focus on preventative measures, because if we don't create the life, then we don't have to worry about ending the life. So if we are pushing abstinence, or if we are pushing protection, if we are pushing birth control the way that they are pushing abortion, I do believe that those numbers would decline. And now today, in this great age of technology, we have e-commerce. We can train women on how to make money in the comfort of their own homes, where they don't have to feel as though that they have to have an abortion because they can't afford their children. So if we focus more on valuing life, I think that we'll begin to see the change that's needed in our country.
Thank you. That is all the time we have for questions. Now, Angela Stanton-King will have 60 seconds for a closing statement.
So look, this is what I want to say. I want to say that my opponent, Nikema Williams, it wasn't disrespectful to me, but it was disrespectful to the people of the 5th District of Georgia. She used an inside process to get the nomination, and now she won't even stand before voters to lay out her plan or her process. I don't think that that's fair. Politics is supposed to be bipartisan, and she is solely relying on partisan to get her in office. After 40 years of voting the same way, I've been told before that the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. But now today, this is what I want to do. I want the people of Georgia to do one thing for me. Give me one chance to prove myself. Give me 2 years to get into office and show you all what I can do. And I want us to work together. This isn't my election. This is our election, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm standing here. I'm here for you. Let's make a difference.
All right. Thank you. That concludes our debate today. We would like to remind voters